This is my bullet journal. And before you get confused, yes, this video is about why I don't bullet journal. Let me explain. I'm Sarah from Ensign Insights, and I didn't even remember that I had this bullet journal. I'm a handlettering artist, so it seems like I should bullet journal, right? Well, I don't. But turns out I started this in 2016, actually before, like a month or two before I even learned what calligraphy was. Recently, I've been doing my handlettering journal. I've shared about this a little bit. I'm going to share more later. And basically, because I got so into this, I was wondering, why don't I bullet journal? Maybe if this is the thing, maybe I should get into it. So I was thinking, why did I stop my bullet journal? What happened? Would I love it now? And that led me down months of reading about bullet journaling, researching everything I could, watching videos about it. And these are the 3 books that I got from the library. So the main creator of bullet journaling is Ryder Carroll. And in his book, he says, bullet journaling is a vehicle for self-exploration to help you discover what you care about and the life you want to live. I read that and I thought, that sounds like exactly what I want. So why don't I bullet journal? Well, through all of this research, I made some really big realizations. So I'm going to share 3 reasons why I don't bullet journal, and then 3 benefits that I see from bullet journaling. All right, so the 3 reasons why I don't bullet journal, even though I'm a hand lettering artist. Number 1, I need my schedule on my phone, and I need it connected to wherever I am, because I have my little toddler that I'm following around. We're out and about, we're at the park, we're downstairs, we're upstairs. When I have a thought of, something I need to write in my schedule or something that I want to write down, I just have my phone. And I didn't want to just write everything on my phone and then transfer it to a book. That just seems like a lot of time. So I started using Notion, and it's amazing. It's basically like my own little bullet journal, but digitally. And then I also use a Google Calendar so I can share appointments and details with my husband. Okay, number 2, I just couldn't grasp the symbols on the to-do list. It didn't make sense to me. And I know, like, the more you use it, the more you would get used to those kinds of symbols. It just didn't make sense in my head to add a certain little mark. Like when you migrate stuff, so if you finished it, you put a certain thing. If you didn't finish it and you're moving it to a different day, you put a certain thing. I don't know. When I write to-do lists, I like to cross out the whole thing so it's really done. It's just more satisfying that way. Also, there were so many types of collections that you can have in a bullet journal, and I just couldn't figure out which ones I wanted. I ended up creating a bunch and then not even using like any of them. And about that, Ryder Carroll says, if there's nothing to be learned from the information in a collection, it provides little value, and chances are you'll lack the incentive needed to maintain it. Don't waste your time on collections that won't add value to your life. So then I started thinking, what are the collections that do add value to my life? And I'll get to that in a little bit. But first, number 3, I realized that my organization style is different. So if you've ever watched Clutterbug on YouTube, she's great. She talks about 4 different organizational styles and how your personality fits with a certain style, and it really helps to be able to stay organized. And I was thinking about this with a bullet journal, and I think this is one reason why it wasn't working for me, because so she talks about the difference between micro-organizing and macro. And I am a micro organizer, which means I need little tiny sections. I want everything grouped together in its little thing instead of like a bundle of things. It needs to be in its own little section. So bullet journaling, it seems like it can be micro organizing because you have your little sections, your little collections, but it wasn't working for me because they're all in the same book. And I wanted separate books for them. And also, I never knew how many pages that I was gonna need. And I know, like, the workaround is to just create the page numbers and then and add your own table of contents so that you can always know like where you put certain things. But oh my gosh, that like stresses me out just thinking about it, that like all my sections are everywhere and I just have the table of contents to go find the things. I'm like, no, I can't do it. So like in Notion, I have different sections and then I have an endless room to fill it out. So that's really why Notion works for me as a micro organizer. Okay, so now let's talk about the 3 benefits that I found with bullet journaling. I started bullet journaling during a really rough time and I was just looking for anything to create a better life, a better self. So number 1, having time each day to get creative. And it's also a time to reflect on the day. When I practice creativity, I notice that I'm able to get a little more creative in the things that are stressing me out in my life. It's just something in being mindful helps you create the life that you want. Number 2, dealing with burnout, having time to unwind and process the emotions from the day and center myself is really important. When I take time to align myself with how I want to feel, I can show up better in my life as a better version of myself. It's totally self-care, not the kind of pampering self-care, getting your nails done, but the mindfulness self-care. And number 3, having a physical book to write in. I love paper and pens. There's just nothing like it. I also do a lot of digital lettering and I use Notion. So I do a lot of things digitally, but I just love the feeling of pen on paper. It's really relaxing and stress relieving. So maybe you have a bullet journal and you love it. I am so happy for you. If you're like me, where you love the idea of a bullet journal and you want those benefits, but you can't quite get into a full-on bullet journal, so what's the solution? Well, over the months that I've been researching about bullet journaling, I have been using my journal. This is just a cheap journal that I found at Tuesday Morning, and I just started lettering in it. That's all it is. Just different quotes, different thoughts that I was having, things that I wanted to remember from the day. And I was wondering if it could be called a bullet journal. It didn't have a name. I had just made it up because I needed something. It didn't have a schedule or to-do list in it. It was everything exactly that I needed. My creative time each day, having a mindfulness practice to center myself, and a physical book with pens, it helped me overcome extreme burnout. This was my solution. But what's it called? Not really a bullet journal, maybe a sketchbook, a junk journal, a creative journal. I just felt like none of those really captured what it was. So I decided to call it the most obvious answer, a hand lettering journal. And just like writer Carol said about bullet journaling, it's a vehicle for self-exploration to help you discover what you care about and the life you want to live. That's what my hand lettering journal is doing for me, and I'd love to invite you to join me in creating your own hand lettering journal. I'll be sharing more videos about it here on YouTube. You can also sign up for monthly hand lettering journal challenges with me. The challenge is a simple way to improve your hand lettering while also using it as a mindfulness practice. It can fit into any schedule, whether you have an hour a day or only 5 minutes. There are so many things we can do with hand lettering for others, but how are you using it for yourself? I'll leave the details of the monthly challenge below. It's free. You'll get a weekly email with the prompt. I would love for you to join me. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you in the challenge.